The Jeffrey Epstein situation just goes from bad to worse as things tend to evolve, right? So, in case you've been living under a rock and you didn't know, there has been new Jeffrey Epstein videos that have been released by the US Department of Justice, otherwise known as the DOJ, and the FBI on July 7th. And this allegedly was a 10-hour video recording from CCTV from inside the cell block where Jeffrey Epstein was being held, which is supposed to support the fact that Jeffrey Epstein himself had, commit suicide, and also to support the fact that that there was no coercion or anything that went on behind the scenes, which meant that, he was offed by government or by the prison officials or whatever, okay? And it was released, of course, to try and support this narrative that he did actually do that to himself. But it has met some significant controversy and backlash, especially from the YouTuber CoffeeZilla, typically known for his cryptocurrency scams and exposés, but now has kind of turned his hand over on his second channel, Voidzilla, to this situation. And it is really interesting. Now, to begin with, the surveillance footage was, of course, released from the Metropolitan Correction Center in New York City, where Epstein was held before his death on August 10th of 2019. The video is nearly 11 hours long and covers the period from 10:40 p.m. on August 9th, 2019, when Epstein was locked in his cell, to around 6:30 a.m. the next morning, when he was found unresponsive. It shows Epstein being led to his cell in an orange jumpsuit by a guard, with no one else entering or leaving the common area near his cell during this time. And the FBI enhanced the footage to clarify, increasing contrast, balancing color, and improving sharpness. The DOJ and FBI state that this video supports the conclusion that Epstein died by taking his own life, consistent with the medical examiner's ruling that refutes conspiracy theories suggesting a potential murder plot. However, the footage has noted a gap of around 1 minute, where the timestamp jumps from 11:58 p.m. to exactly 12 a.m. when officials have not explained. Some online skepticisms, as seen on a post on X, for example, suggest that the video may have been edited due to a mismatched frame size or other anomalies, though these claims are inconclusive and lack verifiable evidence. And the DOJ memo amplifying and accompanying the release also states that the exhaustive review found no evidence of a, quote, client list or blackmail involving prominent individuals, contradicting earlier claims by the Attorney General Pam Bondi and quashing related conspiracy theories. Now, of course, the idea of the video release was to try and, aim to address public speculation and suppress that. But it's sparked more questions than answers and has ultimately done absolutely nothing to support that claim. And like I say, CoffeeZilla has absolutely jumped on the case here and has really kind of exposed and put a bit of a limelight on this situation and exposed it for what it may truly be. But yeah, so CoffeeZilla basically identifies that there is actually a minute missing, like we stated earlier, and the timestamp is at nearly 11-hour surveillance video released by the DOJ, okay? So it jumps from 11:58:58, so the 11th hour, 58th minute, 58th second, and it jumps to 12 a.m. exactly. Alright, so this is literally a jump of 1 minute and 2 seconds on the dot, which jumps from August 9th, 2019, August 8th, to August 9th. And he points out that the gap is evident not only by the time span, but also the subtle shift in the video's framing. So the video goes from like this wider glance to this more kind of cropped in glance. So, it does look as if there is a solid cut within the video, which obviously, suggests the cut or edit in the video. Now, CoffeeZilla notes that the missing minute is particularly suspicious because it occurs just before midnight, a critical time leading up to Epstein's death, and the DOJ has not provided an explanation for this discrepancy at all. To support the analysis, CoffeeZilla also references a 2023 Inspector General report on Epstein's death, which detailed significant operational failures at the prison, including non-functional camera cameras, and he clarifies that the release was from the common area, not specifically in Epstein's cell, contrary to what the FBI director Kash Patel implied on platforms like the Joe Rogan podcast, where Patel suggested that the footage would have definitively show no one accessed Epstein's cell. CoffeeZilla uses diagrams from the IG report, or Inspector General report, to illustrate that the camera's positioning, which was on the L tier where Epstein's cell was located, but only captured the guard station and part of the staircase, not the door itself, noted by 3 little frames, or little particles, sorry. The report also confirms that the camera directly facing Epstein's cell was streaming, but not recording due to the DVR failure starting around July 29th of 2019, further limiting the footage's ability to provide conclusive evidence. Now, there is also some more evident and notable information that comes from this breakdown from CoffeeZilla, which is pretty fantastic. So there is a mystery man at around 10:38 p.m., roughly 8 minutes after it was, began that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't checked in on between 10:30 and 6:30 a.m. the next day. So around 8 minutes after his final checkup, there is a mystery man that kind of pops into frame with what looks to be wearing an orange jumpsuit, accompanied by a guard who is briefly visible near the staircase leading to the L tier. This contradicts the 2023 Inspector General reports that claim that all inmates were locked up in their cells by 8 p.m. on August 9th of 2019, and the DOJ's 2025 memo casually states that Epstein was locked in his cell at around 10:40 p.m, suggesting that the figure could have been Epstein himself, but the detail was not mentioned in earlier reports. And CoffeeZilla questions why Epstein or another inmate was out of their cell after hours after lockdown, and why this was not previously disclosed. Obviously, it's a pretty big cock-up on the part of the DOJ and the Inspector General reports. Now, there's also questions about the guard negligence and falsified reports. So, CoffeeZilla emphasizes that guards failed to perform mandatory checks on Epstein from 10:40 p.m. till 6:30 a.m. the following morning, when he was found deceased. The IG report confirms that guards falsified reports to claim that they had conducted these checks, and that 2 guards admitted to dozing off during their shift. And this negligence, combined with the non-recording cameras and the 1 minute missing, undermines the DOJ's assertion that the footage definitively proves that this was him taking his own life. And then, to add even more into the mix, there's the misleading statements by the authorities. So, CoffeeZilla then goes on to criticize FBI Director Kash Patel for suggesting that the release footage would show a clear view of Epstein's cell, when it actually covers only the common area. And Patel's earlier skepticism about the official narrative expressed before joining the Trump administration contrasts with his current stance that the footage confirms a potential life-taking incident. And CoffeeZilla argues that the misinformation, coupled with the missing minute and the mystery figure, fuels distrust rather than resolving it. Obviously, this is a pretty big cock-up, just across the board. Many people are talking about this and how, it's basically nigh on confirmed that, something is going on. So if you take a look at the footage just here, so this comes from around 7:40 p.m. So this is the view that we, of course, got. Now, this is the guard's desk. Jeffrey Epstein's cell isn't actually here at all. It's actually around this corner behind this, completely out of view. Now, the staircase in reference are these 3 pixels here, and this is where the orange jumpsuit comes into frame. Okay, and we can see a guard running off in this direction as almost towards, we can assume, Jeffrey Epstein's cell. Now, of course, we were promised by the FBI that this would be clear evidence of Epstein's cell. In fact, it is not clear evidence or a clear view whatsoever. In fact, apparently, the recordings were completely dead, allegedly. It's a really, really, really messy situation, and it absolutely, in my opinion, doesn't actually confirm or deny anything. it just adds more speculation to the fire, and it's just made a bigger mess of things than they already were. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump scare the hell out of that like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.